Alright CIG, let's take a look. Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. There were some significant changes in the roadmap this week on the 11th of August 2021. Wish I didn't have to say this, but it's important that you consider the caveats that CIG puts on all of their publications and updates so that you're not shocked or upset when things might change. This is, after all, active open development, and deadlines will not always be able to be deflected from unforeseen issues. Let's begin. I'm going to start on patch 315, which is supposed to be Q3 2021. Locations have 5 tentative cards. Implementation of a working clinic within Grimhex, New Babbage, Orison, and rest stops, where players can be healed, as well as purchase medical supplies and life insurance. The 5th card in locations is work being done to Orison, bringing it to level 2. AI has 2 tentative cards. They're working to add NPCs that greet you and add life to the hospitals when you respawn. There will also be concurrent background activities to bring that environment to life. And they're doing the same thing but for shoppers and shopkeeping NPCs to make our experience better. Gameplay has 10 tentatives. The first is the recently announced updates to Arena Commander, but for Broken Moon only. That might be a typo, as it was pretty clear on ISC that they plan to update both. The sphere is 10 times the size. It uses the newest tech art and variation in the play zones. They're planning to use the new Spawn Closet tech to develop underground, infiltrate, and defend missions. Physical inventory backend is getting the support needed in the shops, and this will include the functionality for players to update their ship inventory as well. There's a card listing of mobiGlas support for these changes. There's a card listing loot generation system. They recently did a segment on Inside starcitizen 3 weeks ago about that in greater detail. There's a card listing FPS or on-foot radar. The scanner range will be very short. However, it'll function like the ship scanner, but on foot. Personal inventory is listed as tentative, and it'll allow players to store gear in a more realistic manner with physical limits on size and weight. This is part of the overall improvements that will result in a more final representation of the final intent. Players will only have access to the gear in the location that they're in, and this will also eventually in the future come with the subsystems and mobiGlas apps to manage your gear. They specifically mentioned that this is one way that they're going to deal with players not having their gear whilst in prison. There's a pretty vague card tentatively listing future work to be done on healing. It's just listed as back-end tasks to support the initial healing features, a card for bombs and being able to drop them, and a final card in the section for NPC healing. I feel like this has been moved around on the roadmap for years, but it's nice to finally see it close. The intent here is to allow players and NPCs to be able to heal each other. Ships and vehicles have 4 listings. Normally I don't get very excited about ships, but there's some real legacy here. The Redeemer, which has been in the hangar module since as far back as 2015, got the love it needed, and it's finally being added to the game. I'm very interested to see how it performs in the role of a dropship or a gunship or both. I'm going to be testing it with the members of Enemy Contact. Recruiting is open for prospects. The Hercules A2 is basically a big honky troll party boat with all sorts of death and destruction on the menu, and there's a listing for both starfighters, which are basically guns with seats and a ship built around them. Again, I'm interested to test those on larger ships to see how they bring the pain. We round out 315 with 2 weapons and 2 gadgets, 2 size 7 bearing guns, a laser cannon, and a ballistic gatling. The Cure Life Medical Handheld, which is a tool, and it's supposed to offer more information on the wounds and the medical attachment to the multi-tool. 316 is the end of the year, Q4 2021, and it lists work done on the hospital in Area 18. Gameplay lists 8 tentative cards, charge drain tech backend, player slide, player EVA tier 2, which adds push-pull, and individual IFCS to EVA. Improvements to prone while static and in locomotion, better player weapon handling animations, first levels to the tech to support salvage gameplay, which was spoke about 2 months ago on Inside starcitizen. They were speaking about it basically being a strip and fix gun, but that's just initial. There's a card listing the creation for the backend support for hacking. Player 0G push-pull rounds out this list and was yet another that's been on and off for years. In ships, there are 2 listings, one of them being a ship. The Hull C was near release 3 years ago, but there were issues associated with its ability to compress and retract. These were due to mixed physics grids and other technical hurdles, but that appears to have been addressed. It's listed in 316. The second card in here is the addition of ship shield emitters as a physical item within the ship, and I imagine that that'll be a ton of work to add to the entire fleet. Weapons lists 1 card, which is the Grey Cat salvage attachment for the hand tool, and there are 2 in core tech. Dynamic alignment for doors and ramps, which will let the doors not only open, but open and then conform to the surface that your ship is on. Badly needed quality of life. The final listing in 316 is being able to swap engines for the M50, which would insinuate that we would need the M50 in the future. Hopefully racing will get some badly needed love. 317 is Q1 2022, and there are 2 cards for locations, outpost homesteads, which should add little NPC occupied locations with basics that can keep you alive. And there's a listing for the main hospital at Lorville. Gameplay has the Hangar Manager app, and with it, listings for persistent hangars. They spoke about this recently. Your bought cargo and gear will manifest in your hangar, and then you can manage, store, or load it as you see fit. This is still quite a ways, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot more detail about how that'll work. They're adding a cutting attachment for the Grey Cat multi-tool. They're working to improve the player interaction system with the Pi, which is best described as a quality of life on the player experience. 316 ends on the Scorpius Heavy, and the Hull A being listed as tentative. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Please look for links to the roadmap. There are links to Discord, which is now open to the public and growing. I would like to mention the review for the eWin chair with a 20% discount code that's available for the next 2 weeks. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.